This episode brought to you by Good Flicks, the Christian family-based movie studio that brings positive entertainment that changes lives, inspires hearts, and lifts the spirit. This holiday, see Normal Activity, a found footage story of a God-fearing married couple named Christian and Chastity that are protected by God. Nothing bad happens, and everyone's just nice. That's Normal Activity, coming soon to a theater near you. Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk,
an opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. Go, 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 go.
I just had to stroll through the scraggly woods.
He had no face!
Horror!
Sabrina, don't just stare at it, eat it.
New theatrical releases always get priority.
But we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible.
Wow, that didn't sound good.
Chastity.
I'm so happy you like that one.
What's
What's up? It's Horror Movie Talk. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Bryce Hanson. I hold a PhD. Just to be clear, it's Bryce.
Price?
Bryce.
Yeah, a lot of people
get that wrong. And I am an expert. I hold a PhD in spookology.
Right.
And sits across from me is...
I'm David Day. I'm the foremost expert in...
Feeling at the end of the weekend where you've got the work week coming up and you just wish you could just enjoy that Saturday night excitement for the rest of time.
And then, Sunday night comes. We got a big work week. I'm not getting any sleep. I have anxiety. I have
paranoia because I got the Sunday scare no-nos.
Right. Okay, so we are a horror movie review podcast. We review new theatrical releases as a priority, but we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible. We got a great show today. We're going to be reviewing Paranormal Activity.
Yes.
The first one, finally. This was a oft-requested episode. We've covered, like, what, three or four other...
We've covered 2. We've covered 3, the Ghost Dimension, and Next of Kin. 4, and this will be the 5th. We just need to hit Paranormal Activity 4 and the marked one.
Okay, so a cool thing about Horror Movie Talk that you might not know is we have the absolute best horror community on the internet. Check that out at Facebook. Our Facebook group is fantastic. Lots of conversations going about horror, and everyone's just nice. Our website is horrormovietalk.com. Go there, and especially right now, we're asking you to take our listener survey. There's a button right below the player on the homepage, as well as a button on the sidebar of any of the episodes. We just want to hear from you, what you like and dislike, and see how we're doing so we can make the show better. A couple other things that we do throughout the month. We have a second Saturday watch party. We just had one last night. We watched Tremors something with Napoleon Dynamite.
Shrieker Island. Yeah, John Heater.
That's on streamlounge.io. You just sign up for a free account and follow us, and it's kind of like a Twitch stream, follow along movie watch party.
Yep.
Speaking of Twitch, we also have twitch.tv/horrormovietalk. We're on all the social medias. We post new episodes of the podcast every Wednesday, so please subscribe, and if you like us, leave a review on Apple Podcasts. If you want to get in touch with us directly or ask us a question and possibly be played on the show, call 682-253-4468 for our voicemail. We score on a scale of 1 to 10 after giving a brief review of the movie. We'll get into spoilers. The scoring system is very complicated. 1 is bad. 10 is good.
Whoa, you lost me.
And 5, this is where the real confusion takes place, is average.
Yeah.
Okay. After we give our score, we'll get into spoilers and take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. Later on, we'll be playing Taglines.
Hooray!
Hooray! Okay, so we watched Paranormal Activity on accident.
Well, yeah.
I think if you've listened to our Paranormal Activity Next of Kin review, you'll have learned that David told me the movie we were reviewing was Paranormal Activity, and
Funnier to us than it is to you, really.
right. And what he meant was Next of Kin, and I watched this one. So now we're doing an episode on Paranormal Activity. Okay,
Blessing in disguise.
Here's the trailer.
High def camera on. My girlfriend Katie, she thinks there's something in the house. I don't know.
You believe me, right?
I think we're gonna have a very interesting time capturing whatever paranormal phenomena is occurring or is not occurring. Windows are locked, doors are locked, alarm is on. Hearing a weird sound.
Something's here. I feel it breathing on me.
There's footsteps in, but there's no footsteps out.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
If you do try to play games with it, that's inviting it in.
Jesus, this looks like something big here.
It's not the house. It's me.
You cannot run from this. It will follow you.
I'm in control.
You're not in control. What's happening to me?
This thing left a message.
If it's not a ghost, what is it?
Okay, so Paranormal Activity is available for rent. I don't think it's on any of the streaming sites right now.
It's on, like, Stars.
Oh, yeah. The one that no one has.
Yeah.
Paranormal Activity follows Katie and Micah, a young 20-something couple that are steady dating and living with each other.
In sin.
Told
Hence opening them up to the terrifying potential for demon activity. Let that be a lesson to all of you. Don't live in sin.
It's told through the lens of Micah's new camera equipment. We learn that he is attempting to document paranormal activity that Katie purports to be happening in their suburban house. We learn that this is not the first time Katie has been haunted, and we watch as Micah attempts to use his powers of toxic masculinity to solve the problem. Paranormal activity. Is that not like the most correct way to say what this movie is about?
Yeah. Toxic masculinity. Like, just basically another way of saying doing what a guy does when he thinks he's trying to help.
Right. Or just being an asshole. You know?
I mean, a lot of it is to him genuinely doing the best that he can with his feeble mind. You know, like,
yeah.
It's not to be toxically masculine, you have to kind of like have intent. And Micah's just a dum-dum, you know?
No, I don't know. We can talk about that in depth in the spoiler section. Paranormal Activity was not the first found footage movie, but it was the first one to really crack the code for what makes that gimmick work. It remains the most profitable horror movie based on return on investment. That's super impressive.
And
I think the previous,
just by a little bit either.
Right. The previous one was Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And but this one, with a budget of $450,000, which is probably mostly marketing.
Oh yeah,
it raked in nearly $90 million.
That's huge,
right?
I mean, that's
more than a 900% return on investment.
That's fucking bonkers. It's more like 1,800% return,
right,
on investment.
Yeah, my math isn't correct on that. So not that speaks to the film itself, but it definitely speaks to the popularity and marketability. It's interesting to come back to the original since the series has expanded in scope and lore. This is a simple movie that mostly documents the happenings in a single bedroom. I mean, yeah, I forgot how simple the first one was.
Yeah,
I think a lot of what I associate with Paranormal Activity is actually Paranormal Activity 2.
2 and for me 3. This is a 4-bedroom house. We get to see about 3 rooms.
Right.
Yeah.
It strikes a chord because Katie and Micah's relationship feels real enough to engage with the story, and the viewer is drawn in to try to catch signs of paranormal activity through the nightly static camera shots of a doorway. Sound boring? Shit. Sound boring? Well, did I tell you that it had...
No.
For what it is, and me growing up with Sightings, the TV show Sightings, and before every douchebag had a ghost hunting TV show, this tapped into the suspension of disbelief around quote-unquote real hauntings. There aren't really ghosts. I mean, even if you believe in ghosts, you're not like, well, there's not really ghosts reaching out of TVs and stealing children. Do you know what there is?
What?
Ghosts knocking things off shelves like house cats.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
The most evil, intended, supernatural beings are just there to move books.
These movies are so effective on me and my wife. Like, we are hook, line, and sinker. We are there for it. Every time. We're like, it's time to watch Paranormal Activity, and we're like, shit. And every time shit happens. Every time. So this morning, I woke up to something falling downstairs. And the cat had literally pushed a thing off of the landing on the stairs.
Right.
It was literally the cat.
Right.
Paranormal Captivity.
Are you sure it's not?
No, it was
demon?
Paranormal Captivity.
Okay.
I walked there and I saw the cat doing this with her hand.
Oh, I see.
She was like, I was like, you fucking cat.
I love this film and several of its sequels before it totally got fucked out. I think it still works, although it's not one you can revisit often or watch in a marathon.
Disagree.
Really?
Oh, man. Yeah.
I can't imagine like watching this more than once every couple of years, or any like a single film in the series. Like I could see like watching one and then a month later 2 and then a month later 3 or something like that. But like sitting down and watching all 7 Paranormal Activities just does not. Eventually, it wears off.
Oh well, 7. Yeah, all 7. No, 1, 2, and 3 though.
Yeah. So anyways, I mean, I think this is like a classic, and it's like a super important one for horror, because I think it cracked the code for found footage, and I think after this series perfected it, like there's no point in trying to do it in any other form at this point. It's like, this is the best way to do it, in my opinion. So I give it a score 10 out of 10.
This is such a tentpole, perfect in so many ways, for so many reasons. And not only that, it's close to my heart because of personal circumstances at the time that I watched it. I had just started dating my wife.
She was haunted with a demon.
She looked very similar to Katie, the star of this movie, Katie Featherton. Mm-hmm. And we went and watched this movie. Like, it's set in the suburbs, so you think you're safe, but you're not even safe in the suburbs. You're not even safe, with a neighbor 10 feet away from you. The marketing for this movie, I still remember it. And it was perfect. Like,
yeah, it's really effective.
So many parts of this movie and then the basic core premise of the whole thing, this inescapable, unknown, always there, always listening, watching.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfect. This is perfect for me. Perfect. It can't get any better than Paranormal Activity.
And there's people that just don't like this movie at all. They're
Sure.
just like, this is boring. It's dumb. They just set up a camera. Who cares? Like, and again, I think that missing piece is like, if you've ever watched like, and again, this is before like Ghost Adventures and all that shit. Like, if you ever watched like shows like Unsolved Mysteries, where it shows the paranormal investigators, and they're like, look, I found a slightly different heat signature. Like, whoa, ghosts do exist. Like, that's all you have to go off of. If that's what you like really have attached your like conception of ghosts to, like, this takes the most real version of a haunting, you know.
Yeah, it takes it and spins a new spin on an old classic, and which is ghosts and demons instead of ghosts. And you know, I mean, not everything's for everyone, you know, but this is definitely for me. Yeah. This is 100, and if it's not for you,
listen, I cannot understand you.
I just can't understand you. But I you know, monster movies, slashers, not for me. Yeah. So, but this is perfect.
Yeah,
this is a movie made for David Day.
You know, it's also made for David Day and perfect.
What?
Nightchannels.com. They have some of the best obscure and niche horror, occult, metal, alternative music, literature, apparel.
Is that a raincoat?
No, they don't have raincoats, but they have T-shirts and hoodies. Hoodies as good as a raincoat to me.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, well, if you live in the Pacific Northwest, nobody fucks with a raincoat.
Yeah.
Get out of here. Put a hoodie on.
Yeah, if you own an umbrella in Oregon and Washington, you're just looked down upon.
Yeah, you'll get shot in the street.
Right. Even when it's not raining. So go to nightchannels.com and just browse.
Take the Night Channels Challenge.
Yeah, we call it the Night Channels Challenge. If you're into horror, and especially as the holidays are coming up, if you have loved ones that are into horror movies or metal or all the things that I mentioned before, just browse and you'll find a kick-ass design that you're not going to find anywhere else. And when you inevitably fill up your shopping cart and start checking out, use code HMT at checkout to get 13% off. If you're listening to these mid-roll commercials, you should know that you don't have to if you go to patreon.com and support us directly, and we'll give you advanced access to episodes without commercials. That's patreon.com/horrormovietalk. Also, speaking of the holidays, you can go to our shop on horrormovietalk.com/shop and buy a logo tee or some of our stickers.
We got some, you know that movie Trick or Treat?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we got some badass Trick or Treat coasters over there.
Mm-hmm.
Sets of 5. You can buy those for like $9.
Yep. Check out our resident artist who makes all the artwork for those coasters and stickers and our logo. His name is Dustin Goebel. He's a professional artist who fucks hard. He also takes commissions, even though he told us like to slow roll that a little bit because he's too busy. Because you guys are all supporting him so well.
If Dustin can't say no, that's his own business.
Right.
You know, go bother Dustin, ask him to produce some stuff for you, and and prepare for the hardest fucking most awesome artwork. Ask him to do something real, like show some insertion. You know, I want to see some stuff that's just really, really depraved.
So go to Instagram and find him at dgoebel00. That's at DGOEBEL00 on Instagram, and make your artistic dreams come true. Again, if you want to leave us a voicemail, call 682-253-4468. Thanks again for listening. Let's talk about the movie. Spoilers. Okay, so this starts out with the standard found footage text of "This is found footage."
Yeah,
we don't know what happened. We found this footage.
Well,
look at it.
I'd like to start a little bit earlier than that. which is with the marketing campaign for this. Let's just briefly go over the marketing campaign for
right.
this.
The genius is that the marketing or the trailers was mostly, or at least half of it, was shots of the audience and their reaction to it.
Shock and awe.
Yeah.
Night vision shots. It primed you in a couple of different ways because it was kind of found footage of people in a theater watching a found footage movie. It was Paranormal Activity-ception kind of thing. And they looked horrified. And then there were text on screen that said, this is the scariest movie ever made. Mm-hmm. Like big, bold statements that were just unbelievable. But
and then you saw the audience react and like be really scared, like a whole auditorium. So it's like, okay.
It took tons of cues from the Blair Witch marketing effort, which was super effective, and was like, this is real shit. Mm-hmm. This is scarier than anything you've ever. We shouldn't be showing this in theaters, but here you go.
Right.
Like,
it's super effective and kind of genius because the alternative would be like what could you actually show that's scary in the trailer that they didn't show in the trailer, which is like, okay, they showed a bedsheet kind of wafting up.
It hints at a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it hints at it, but like if you showed the stuff that would entice people to say like, oh, this is scary by showing some scary parts, that would be the climax of the movie. All the parts in the climax of the movie would be what they would have to show because otherwise you'd be like, here's a static shot.
The biggest thing about these movies, the shtick of these movies is the tension that it builds by just stringing you along to the next night, giving you a little bit more each night. It's dark out. That means stuff is about to happen. And what's it going to be this time? Is it going to be a noise? Is it going to get real right now? Like what? Like, and that tension that's the focal point.
Yeah. So yeah, it sets it up and, we're shown like these shots with Micah taking, footage with his new camera.
Mostly hanky-panky shots with him and Kate.
Yeah. And it's mostly like him, like begging for a sex tape, for the majority of the not paranormal parts of it.
What I wouldn't give for that Paranormal Activity.
And they're living in sin. Their boyfriend and girlfriend living with each other. And so, I mean, they deserve everything that comes to them, really. They explain that, like, Micah's a stock bro. And
yeah, way before stock bro was a thing, 2006.
Yeah. And Katie is a student. And as we're, like, seeing these shots of like, Micah kind of intruding on Katie's personal space, we get the story in bits and pieces, mostly that something is happening that Micah wants to document, and it's like strange happenings. Mostly Katie is talking about hearing things, and Micah doesn't probably really believe her.
Mika.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Mika. And so he's going to set up these cameras to try to capture some of the stuff.
Yeah.
And we also learned that Katie has a history. Like when she was younger, she was haunted.
Yeah, kind of throughout her life.
Yeah.
This thing has been bothering her. Just kind of like poking her.
And Mika is like super interested.
As you wouldn't you be?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you be like, holy shit.
Yeah.
This is a spooky bitch here.
Exactly. I would too. And Katie's like super nonchalant. She's like, yeah, whatever.
She's like, well, really, Katie has it down pat. Like, she's got the formula for dealing with this thing down pat, which is just don't look. Don't pay any attention to this thing, because if you give it attention, it's going to grow, and you're going to have, your house is going to burn down. Like, and that's an important point in this movie. She's like, when I was a kid, our house burnt down. Thankfully, everybody got out. Mm-hmm. But,
we don't know if it was related to the hauntings.
We don't know. But there's evidence in this movie that, oh, wow, okay, yeah, I know who did it.
Yeah. And there's a little, I don't know, it's also, the setup is like, this feels like a really believable relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's loosely scripted, very loosely scripted. It's kind of like a Curb Your Enthusiasm deal where they're like, here's like the beats that you have to hit, but I'll leave it up to you to sound natural kind of thing.
Yes, that's exactly what this is.
And so we're told about the relationship with Mika and Katie, and we kind of learned that Mika, I don't know, how would you describe their relationship?
I'm not sure what you're getting at here. I guess I would describe their relationship as a normal early relationship, kind of in the, not necessarily the honeymoon stage, really,
right.
but definitely a young relationship,
Yeah, not like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. It felt weird to me that they lived with each other, and they're not, doesn't seem like they're quite, I don't know, it's more like they're roommates that sleep with each other. In that, Mika's not really super supportive or like concerned with his girlfriend's opinions, or that should really affect his life that much.
I think he's, and this is what I mean when I say he's just kind of a dum-dum. I think he's doing the best he can with what he's got. He does this thing that guys tend to do very frequently. I mean, I'm only just now realizing these things about myself, in the last couple of years, where I'm like, oh, your attempt to try and fix everything, just like your knee-jerk reaction to everything is, well, you fix it. You fix this. You fix that. Right. That's so many guys. And that's so many young guys. And right. I mean, so many guys never grow out of that. They just think, oh, the knee-jerk reaction to any problem is to fix the problem. Right. And if it's with people, then you tell them what to do to fix it, and then they do the thing. They do that. They take your advice. But it's not how it works.
Well, yeah, I mean, so here's where like the toxic masculinity comes in for me, because where it's like, the intention to fix things like that, sure, that's fine, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Sure.
The toxicity comes in when you realize like, oh, he has like a double standard for what the rules for him are compared to the rules for what he expects of Katie.
Everybody has that. That's called being a person.
Well, I mean, so like, for example, when it's very apparent that they need to call that demonologist, it's like, no, don't promise me you won't call that guy. Like, if one guy is okay, but I don't want another person. Like, we'll figure it out. It's like, it sounds like she really wants to, and you make her promise because you got this. And he doesn't have any idea of what he's trying to do or how to solve the problem. And
I mean, like, you're right. I guess I just don't know what toxic masculinity is. And is there toxic femininity? Like,
sure, but I mean the toxic masculinity is like the double standard, the entitlement of like, I know best, and also like, why would I believe you? Like, you're a woman, kind of thing. Like, that's,
I didn't get that vibe that it was because she was a woman. I just got it, but it just feels much more earnest as like dumb dude thinks he's right because he can't. Just like every young person thinks they're right because they're them, you just don't have perspective outside yourself. They don't have an empathetic bone in their body. But
I mean, it's pretty apparent to me that like he doesn't respect like Katie's knowledge or experience in the situation, like, at all.
I mean, I don't know if it has anything to do with. I mean, he definitely is doing the things that she's asking him not to do, but it seems to be done out of like incredible inquisitiveness, curiosity, and like it doesn't feel malicious, and a lot of times when things start getting out of control, he feels like, well, this is my house. I'm going to get it. I'm going to fix this problem Mika style because, in any event.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing where I frame it within the terms of the relationship because it's like, sure, like you can be super curious, but you also have to factor in like your relationship and what you promise to do and the feelings of the person that you've committed to, to where it's like, yeah, if I promise to not buy a Ouija board, I'm not going to bring a Ouija board in anyways because like, I want to though.
Okay, but
you don't understand.
How many times has Erin told you she's going to do something and then she doesn't do it? She promised to do it and then she doesn't do it. This is just a normal thing that happens in relationships.
Well, there's a difference between promising to do something versus promising to not do something. It's a lot easier it takes effort to do something that you promise not to do. So that's like an intentional thing.
Then say it that way. I mean, I
can't think of a single instance where I promised not to do something that I did and that Erin promised not to do something that she did.
This is super normal relationship stuff. Like, I mean, what you see in Paranormal Activity is a lot of relationships.
Sure, I mean, I believe it's realistic, but I'm saying like the Mika's entitlement.
This is normal activity.
Yeah, his entitlement and his like egotism around like he knows best.
Yeah, he's a dick.
He's got he's a dick.
Right.
And that's always like, okay, so here's the thing. I remember in my MBA program, there's a lot of like diversity training, a lot of like classes around diversity and understanding international students and international cultures and stuff like that. And there's this thing where there's a lot of international students in the program, and a couple of them were just absolute assholes.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, this guy's an asshole. But like you take these diversity trainings, they're like, well, different cultures have different
place value on different things,
levels, and they have more like machismo on certain things, and like you have to understand. And there's a certain effect of like, okay, so I understand that, I can frame it and like make some leeway, and then you realize like, even after making that leeway and understanding another culture, it's like, oh, within this culture, that guy can still be an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, so there's, when it comes to like toxic masculinity or any of these like political statements, like, yes, there is truth to that. Like there's a reason why that's a topic and a reason why that's a thing. And there's like, things that you can point at that are like general cultural things that you can say are like, well, that's not productive to society, or that should probably be changed. And then there's also like just assholes, Mm-hmm. So you could either look at Mika as like, oh, well,
I think that's how I feel about Mika.
He's a product.
Dum-dum.
He's a product of, culture that's, giving a lot of leeway and a lot of privilege to straight white males. It's like, or you can just say like, well, that guy's just an asshole.
Yeah.
And honestly, both can be true.
I think he's a well-meaning dum-dum. Yeah. I think he lets his curiosity and his excitement get the better of him a lot. I think he's pretty impulsive.
I just look at the disrespect that he has towards his girlfriend. For most importantly, the disrespect he has for Katie and her desires and her like what she's telling him that she knows and what she needs, and him just being like, yeah, but I want to do this. So like, why are you overreacting? Why are you overreacting to this thing that I said I wasn't going to do that was really important to you? So there's that aspect. And then like pretty much every interaction that he has with anyone in the movie, there's a point at which he's like, well, I know better than them.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. You know, so there's the point when
and his character is set up really well, right? To be this kind of person, right? Sure. He's a stock bro. So we're talking about a guy who afforded a 4-bedroom house somewhere in Southern California in 2006.
Right.
And all based on his knowledge of day trading. That's impressive. This is a guy who was able to do an impressive thing and, has a lot of confirmation bias,
right.
Like I'm good at things. Like I'll be making the decisions here, like, because based on my previous success, I'm the guy I trust, and
yeah. And I guess the other thing that you can point to is like, there's a certain, I think we all like having sex with our wives, our girlfriends. Like, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
and
especially our girlfriends.
There's probably a subset that would, want to videotape that and have that as a thing. Personally, not me. That'd be horrifying. But like, there's a point at which like, she just keeps saying no, so stop asking. And then also like when he's like, yeah, I turned it off. She's like, but you kept it on. Like, there's so many moments in here where it's like, well, that's specifically like a bad thing.
Well, do you like your life, Katie? Do you like your life? You like this 4-bedroom mansion for 2 people in suburbia in LA? Yeah, I mean, there's trade-offs for sure with Mika. Like, he's not a super cool dude. I wouldn't say he's terrible. I've witnessed terrible. I lived through terrible.
Sure, I mean, there's like actually super abusive and overtly
or cruel, you know, like he's not cruel or necessarily mean. He's generally quite protective of her, and I think he does love her. But he's got a lot of growing up to do.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. It starts out really slow.
Did not see us having a 15-minute long conversation on Mika.
It just jumped out at me. I'm like, wow, this is really like an interesting example of like, oh yeah, these are kind of just bad behaviors that are just kind of accepted for this type of guy to be able to do and like just written off. It's like, oh wait, that's actually kind of horrible what you're doing to this person that you say that you love.
Oh, sure. And so normal in so many relationships. It's like the things we put up with because we don't want to be alone.
Right. So the first night, there's almost nothing. So they set up the
slow burn.
They set up this camera, and most of the movie is just a static shot of their bedroom looking out into the hallway, because that's where most of the paranormal activity is happening.
Yeah.
And the device of using the low rumble is the most genius thing that Paranormal Activity franchise came up with.
Yeah.
Like, whoever was like, how do we communicate a presence is there with absolutely no visuals?
Right.
And also no, like, overt sounds. Like, we'll just put a subtle rumble.
Right. Yeah, it's
and
brilliant.
So, you know...
Yeah, if you're watching this movie without a subwoofer, you're going to be missing out.
Yeah.
You just are.
Yeah. So, I mean, we just hear a low rumble, and there's like the faintest, like...
The door, like...
footsteps. No, that's night 2.
Oh, okay.
The faintest footsteps is like... Tick, 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 tick. You know, it's like in the distance. Like somewhere in a room on the other side of the house, someone might be doing the 2-step.
Yeah, I was telling my wife, you know, this whole thing could have been... The whole thing could have been averted if they just slept with a fan. You know, a white noise machine on in their room. They never would have paid enough attention to it to give it the energy to get to the place where it got.
That's a really good point.
That's all we are. All of our rooms are like with like white noise. So that's how we stave off the demons.
And then they call the psychic in, and it's this great thing where like Mika is like,
This guy.
Stupid. And the psychic is like eminently reasonable for a psychic.
Yeah.
It's not like this guy that's like, oh, yeah,
I'm not even going to charge you. I just deal with ghosts.
Yeah.
Like,
and he's
I got to get out of here.
And he just interviews Katie, and he asks all the like skeptical questions that you should ask in this situation, which is like, do you have a
Leaky
history of
pipes?
mental illness? How old is the house?
Yeah.
Do you take any medication?
Right.
You know? So all these things that could explain like psychosis or just like physically things that happen in the house. And it's set up to where like they are trying to capture something, then Mika realizes like, oh, it's the ice maker. Which is something that everyone's done before.
Yeah.
And then and he just basically is like, oh, you're not haunted. You got a demon problem. Let me give you the number of my demon guy.
And he determines this by asking her a series of questions that basically go, so how long has this been going on? She's like, since I was a little kid. And you've lived in different residences throughout your life? And she's like, yep. Every time it was a different place. And he's like,
yeah, he goes through detail to tell him how fucked she is. He's like, okay, so, well, I mean, it's not a haunting. Like, if you moved, it would just follow you. And if you try to communicate with it, it's just going to get worse. And it's always going to follow you, and there's nothing you can do about it other than ignore it. But I'll get you the number to my demon guy because he could help out.
Yeah, he'll give you the manual.
Yeah. So he leaves and like basically says like, well, there's nothing I can do for you. And it's like the sign of like, okay, well, this guy isn't like a con man because he would have just said, oh yeah, I can do this.
Yeah. Not only would he said, I can do this, but he would have, he would have, conned them.
Right.
Yeah.
And Mika is immediately like, what a fruitcake.
Yeah.
It's like, what an idiot.
Yeah, but if you had a ghost specialist come to your house and be like, you got a demon, wouldn't you say, what an idiot? I mean, honestly, you got a demon?
If I was at the point that a psychic was physically in my house, like it got to the point where I was like, we have to.
No,
like, I give
not
up.
You, Aaron. Like,
sure, Aaron. Like if it got to the point where it was like, okay, sure, let's get a psychic over here and see what they have to say.
Mm-hmm.
If it had got to that point and they're like, oh, this is what's happening, I'd be like, oh, okay.
You'd just be like, demons are real. We have one.
I mean, it would never get to the point where I would call a psychic over if I was like, didn't believe it could be a thing.
Well, that's just a lot of toxic masculinity from you.
No, I mean, if like, if it's Aaron,
I see what you mean. I just don't. I mean, this is all.
There's so many other places I would go before calling a quote unquote like expert that
Where?
would pay.
I'm so interested now.
Oh, I mean, like prayer and like. I would go to religion first. That's where we would go.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, no, I guess demon is not a far throw from that.
No.
Yeah, that's wow. Okay, yeah, no, that makes.
Traditionally, it's not a area of commerce to deal with demons and evil spirits. It's usually a realm of religion and supernatural elements.
I so immediately write off the supernatural of any variety.
Sure.
That it didn't even occur to me that so many people are like in their heart of hearts believe that to be a possibility.
Right. I mean, I remember on my mission that we got a call from someone that they said their house was haunted and they wanted us to exorcise the demons from their house.
Like, hello, ma'am, would you like to hear about?
And I was like, all right. And came and like, I mean, there's like, I mean, in the Catholic Church, obviously everyone knows that there's like actual exorcism rites and like texts that you read and do. And in the Mormon Church, there's like kind of the standard thing is you bless a house when you move into it. Or you like bless grave sites and stuff like that. So there's like an element in like
to respect the dead.
Yeah, having calling upon protection or whatever. So like there's elements of that that's just part of a lot of people's lives.
Sure.
So anyways, that's where I would go to before like, but if I got to the point where it was like, yes, the presence of spirits are so undeniable in my own experience to where like nothing, all of a sudden, like I can't explain it in terms of like physical or mental things that I'm like, it's like the journey that Ellen Burstyn's character takes in The Exorcist, where it's like, no, she like takes.
Yeah, she goes through the whole gamut.
She goes through, exhausts every scientific possibility before she's like, I'm so desperate, I want an exorcist.
I get it now. Yeah, thank you for bringing me through.
So anyways, so he like makes Katie promise not to call the demonologist, demands it really. And then her compromise is like, if it gets worse, we'll call him. And then it progressively gets worse, like continuously. And then each time it's like, we're still not.
Because of Mika.
Yeah. Specifically because of Mika. Yeah, the psychic really sets up everything in like telling you what it is, but also telling you specifically what not to do.
Yeah, Mika's like, should we get a Ouija board in here? Hey guys, what about one of those,
What is a Ouija board? How do you make a Ouija board? How do you feel about Ouija boards? How to Ojo board works? How we...
He's like, what about an Ojo board? And
the psychic's like,
whoa.
So just chill out. Drink a 7-Up.
So, he's like, no, absolutely don't do that.
That is 180 degrees from what you want to be doing.
Because it's a demon, and it will give it power, and things will get exponentially worse.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah. And so Mike is like, what a fruitcake. Let's go get a Ouija board.
Can do planchette without using Ouija board? Is it dangerous to play Ouija board?
Ouija board?
A Luigi board?
Oh, yeah, we can get to that. Go on.
So it said all these, like, everything we need to know, which is it's a demon and don't try to communicate with it. And night 2 is the one where we actually show physical evidence, which it just shows a door, like, moving back and forth, like, a couple inches.
Yeah.
And that's where Mike is like, holy shit, there's actual video evidence, and there's no, like, wind that's evidenced in the shot. And so he's like, huh. Well, let's try to communicate with it.
So, what would you say you're doing here, demon? Are you there? Whoa.
Yeah. It's like, do you say something? Nothing. Should I get a Ouija board? Okay. Okay.
I got you.
All right, bro.
Bro code.
But also, this is the other... okay, this is the other example of hashtag toxic masculinity, which is the mansplaining part of when, like, oh, Mika, I'm gonna take care of it. Like, I'm gonna do some research, and he reads like a book about demons, and he's like,
no, like a GeoCities site.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, and he's like, well, from my research, I figured out that it's not a ghost. It's actually a demon.
She's like,
what the guy said that you said he was crazy about? It's like, no, but I said it now.
Yeah.
Did
you hear me?
I'm very smart. So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
So it just underlines that, like, Mika's not making any progress. And every time he says, like, I've got it handled, or we're gonna figure this out, the reality of the situation is, like, he doesn't have anything figured out. He has no plan. He's like, I got a plan. No, they're like, what's your plan? Gonna figure it out.
He's a well-meaning dum-dum in my book.
Right.
Like, and he gets that.
Luigi board? The Luigi board? Making a Luigi board? Have you played the Luigi board?
He gets the Luigi board in there, and then shit really fires up.
Right. She gets super angry at him. And this is like kind of the turning point for like, because the other thing is that that the psychic mentions is like, you know, make sure your relationship is good, because the more, you know, ill feelings that come in is going to make it stronger or whatever. And so Mika pisses off Katie because he just appears with this Luigi board and
pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Can you burn a Luigi board? What
was that? Can you burn a Luigi board?
Almost immediately, like Mika gets a Wii WEG board and
WEG board.
And then this is like the classic, like, well, I just promised you that I wouldn't buy one. I'm borrowing this one. Oh. This is someone else's. I'm borrowing. It's like, she's like, you asshole, you know what I meant.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, he did. But he doesn't care.
Stick to the terms of the contract, technically.
The best kind of right. Technically right. So she yells at him to the point where like she like pulls him away from even using it. But we have the static camera that's showing it, and the little cursor is moving around on its own.
Creepy, or what is it possible to die for playing this game? Oh, help Quidja! Do Quidja boards actually works?
And then kind of the most like surprising element of the movie is it just spontaneously combusts.
Yeah, and then you go, oh, I see how Katie's house burned down before.
Right.
Oh.
They had a edge board.
A WEG board. Yeah. But not before spelling out Diane. Yeah, the first, you know, we get a close up, well, not a close up, but we get a far away shot of the Ouija board, the Luigi board, and it starts heinously moving this thing around. It's like with intent, like I'm spelling something out, and then it sets it on fire. And
Mika tries to decode what it said, but I don't think he goes was sure.
Do you know? Like here are a few possibilities. And he mentions, do you know someone named Diane? She's like, no. Later, when he does his research and finds that website about that girl who was haunted by a demon, that girl's name was Diane.
Oh, I see.
So that there's a breadcrumb for
There's that. Okay. It all ties together.
It's all coming together.
Okay, night 3 is just the nightmare one, where it's like got the low rumble and then Katie wakes up from a nightmare. And it's alluded to that she's like, the nightmare was about horrible things, and you realize like, oh, it's about her killing Mika, basically. That's why she doesn't want to tell him
just
what she had a nightmare
barely about. Able to contain those sweater puppies.
Yeah.
Just, I like this. Every time she pops up out of bed, it's like, whoop, like, oh man. Okay, like, I gotta say, Katie is...
Yeah, she's your favorite.
She's my dream girl. I love her. I love her with all my heart. Some people love Laurie Strode. Some people are a big fan of Nancy. I'm a Katie Featherton kind of guy. She is everywhere I want to be, baby.
Mika is the original Zach Baggins from Ghost Hunters, where he's like the bro that's taunting the demon. He's like, is that all you got, bro? Why don't you fucking come at me, bro? Like to the demon, you know, specifically what he's told not to do.
Yeah.
And so he's taunting the demon. And that's when it really like ramps up. Like the night 4 is when like there's loud stomping steps and a large boom that wakes them up, and then they walk down like the light is swinging.
It's like,
yeah. And then so I mean, and then it ramps up. I mean, that's all we gotta say, and like progressively their relationship is like deteriorating. They're getting tired and more exhausted and frustrated in a very believable way. And they find that like there's a picture of Katie as a girl that like has burned edges up in their attic for some reason.
So this is the most effective part of the entire movie for me. When he throws the dust down onto the floorboards.
Right.
And then something walks into the room and its footsteps are toot into the room.
They're hooves.
Well, they're like 3-pronged feet. You know, they're like kind of like ET feet. And this moment fucked me up. Like I was like, "Oh my God, it's real." It walked in and then its footsteps end there at the bed.
Right.
Like
there's no footsteps out.
No footsteps out. And then they follow the footsteps back and they find where it hangs out. Hangs out in their crawl space. Like it has a place. Like it's like, oh, this is where I stay when I'm not doing spooky shit. I'm just up here. And I have a picture of you that I took from your house before it burned down. And you can tell because it's burnt along the edges.
And then they find it like basically in the ceiling directly above their bed.
Yeah, it's ooh-wee. That's what would you do at this point? Would you because Carrie was just like, go get a hotel room. And I'm like, it won't make it any better. And she's like, yeah, but at least you'll be in a hotel. Like she kept saying that over.
Yeah, at least like it's not in the attic above you, like obsessing over your picture.
What? So what now? It's like right next to the bed? Like
I don't know. I feel like it would be safer.
Yeah, I know. This is what she kept going to, and I'm like, yeah, but the rules are set.
Yeah, but I would try something. Like that's the one thing that's like, I mean,
and then they're about to.
And then they're about to. They're like, all right, we're just gonna get the fuck out of here. And then the next morning, like Katie's catatonic again. Yeah, she's like, no, I want to stay. No, let's just stay.
I like it when it bites me on the back.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, it's very upsetting to think of this thing always being there, always watching, hearing every word you say, just sucking on the negative energy. My demon would be so powerful. All that paranoia and negative energy just like roaming around my house.
Yeah, I mean there's so many great elements. Like it's so simple, but they bring in a lot of like cool ideas where it's like, okay, now Katie's like standing and for like an hour and just staring at Mika in bed.
That's
like
so brutal. Disturbing. So brutal.
Oh, now she's sleepwalking and catatonic and she doesn't remember anything. Now it's like, what's the other things that happen? Oh, now there's like poofs under their sheets. The demon is farting under their sheets. Poof. And then it just ramps up to the point where like physically the demon is able to rip Katie off the bed and bite her ass, basically.
Yeah. And who wouldn't, you know?
And then it just ramps up to the inevitable, well, in retrospect, inevitable conclusion where the demon basically has Katie and uses her to kill Mika. And the end.
Yeah, and then Katie makes many appearances throughout future movies. She's and you know what? I think both Mika and by the way, those are their actual names.
Yeah.
Mika and Katie, those are the actual actor and actresses' names, and they haven't been in very much else, and I don't know why because they did a fabulous job in this. Jesus fucking Christ, I hate this thing. I'm buying a new cord. I'm doing it.
It's the mic. It's not the cord.
Oh, I thought you said it was the cord.
Well, it's the connection to the mic.
Well, I'm buying a new everything. Anyway, yeah, I don't know why they aren't in more stuff. Like, maybe I feel like it has to be by their own choice, but I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, I mean, the same is true of like the people in Blair Witch Project. It's like, yeah, they're in an iconic movie, but I don't think it's like, I mean, it's not marketable to have the star from the movie that's supposed to be real, And there's a certain...
she was in Big Little Lies.
Oh, was she?
Yeah. Yeah, she was in one episode as Leela LaPlante.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, she's in a few shows. Solace for the Unloved. She's in a few shorts as well.
Yeah.
But, yeah, mostly almost nothing. She's in all the Paranormal Activities with the exception of the Ghost Dimension and the new one.
Yeah. Did you watch the theatrical version? Or did you watch like the extended director's cut?
I couldn't tell you. I'm not sure.
Because I have the theatrical version. I think it just changes the ending a little bit. What do you think of the ending of like the last like shot basically of the
You
show?
know, my thoughts on that have evolved over time. At first it felt ham-handed, and it still does to an extent. It doesn't bother me so much now. I do think you could have done it better because they do it better in 2 and 3. 3 is ramps up into a very weird fervor, but given the fact that it's just 2 people and the budget that they had and the premise that they had, kind of the setup is all within the house. You never get to leave the house except to go to the pool. The pool is as far outside the house as we get. Other than maybe the driveway. So, given that, it's pretty good. I will say the special effects on Katie at the very, very last second is goofy. It's not great, but it doesn't bother me anymore. I like how sudden it is.
Yeah,
and now it's done.
Yeah, Micah running down and she's screaming, and then all of a sudden there's silence.
That is truly horrifying.
Right. That's super effective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the throwing him into the camera and then like popping up in that final jump scare is a little much. It would have been. I mean, they tried to keep the realism so much throughout it.
Yeah.
And it kind of earns kind of that over the top ending, but it also could have been super disturbing just to have her walk up and turn off the camera. That, like, would have been like, oh, this is like, and lift you with this uncertainty of like, what just happened? Or even like, literally, how disturbing would it be if like Katie, like the end scene was Katie is like standing there staring at him for a couple hours, goes down into the kitchen, grabs a knife, and comes up and just shows her like stabbing Mika into the heart.
Oof. Yeah, it'd have been good too.
And that's just like, it would just be like, yeah, surveillance footage of someone being murdered.
Yeah.
It's like, how many horror movies are there of like Jason macheting someone? And it's like, has no impact whatsoever. But this, you've built up the realism so much that it feels like, oh, I'm watching a snuff film now. This is like very simply someone getting stabbed in the heart by their wife.
Yeah, or like, okay, so we have established that this thing bites.
Uh-huh.
So if it had possessed her and then eaten Mika, like just like gone to like really just tearing into him, like do what you said, go downstairs, come back up, just bite him to death. Just
Sabrina, don't just stare at it, eat it.
Yeah, eat it.
So anyways, I mean, it's still like, just in my opinion, one of the best horror movies.
It takes an hour and a half and makes it feel like 60 minutes, which is some sort of weird
very
feat.
Impressive with like what it's working with.
Yeah.
And even then, like within the context, like there's stuff that's not shown that's like story elements.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing about like why this is such an effective found footage movie is that it's probably one of the best Paranormal Activities for committing to the concept where it's like, oh, there's times where it absolutely doesn't make sense to have the camera on and the camera's never on in those moments. And when it comes back on, you're like filled in by little subtle touches of like, oh, something happened in between the last shot and this shot that's like important to the story, but we just see the effects of it.
Yeah, it's alluded to.
Yeah. So, anyways, I love Paranormal Activity, and I'm glad we finally covered the first one.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, this could be the top. Like, this could be, I mean, it's definitely top 3 for me. Like, this is such a spectacular. I wish something would come along and, it's just
make you feel again.
Yeah, so it's just this weird dragon chasing thing. I think everybody has this with horror movies. They got their big ones, and then they're like, "Come on."
I will say, after watching several of these, I do think 2 is probably the best one. I do think 2 is better than 1.
2 is great because it takes the concept and expands on it, and the
stakes are higher too.
The stakes are higher to an extent. It doesn't feel much higher for me because they don't focus too much on the kid. But I'll tell you what, they are given a budget, and it is used absolutely appropriately.
Yeah.
And the dread centering around the basement, the kitchen blowout knocked me off my seat. Just was like, oh my God. Like, yeah, I mean, 2 is fabulous. 3 gives me the stakes that you feel in 2. 3 makes me go, 2 little girls. I have 2 little girls. I am super invested. And I really love 3.
When 3 is where it starts going, it diverges from
for
the formula.
You. To you, yes. But
I mean, it's making it more in the ending, especially is like, oh, this is a movie universe now. Because like, why is he filming running away from, this cult or whatever?
I mean, I just assign I do easy math, like easy, like willing suspension of disbelief math in those kinds of situations where I go, oh, he doesn't want to have a big obvious flashlight that's going to tell everyone around him in the woods where he is, so he's got a night vision camcorder that's going to show him what's in front of him. That kind of thing.
Sure. I mean, there's like, we just watched Next of Kin, so like, here's like an example of where it's like, okay, one is committed to this idea, and Next of Kin is making compromise, where it's like, okay, in 1, there's a lot of shots of just like walking, and like you see the camera just see someone's leg, They're not like perfectly framed, or it's like the camera being brought up or like put out of the way, and it looks like a home movie kind of thing. And Next of Kin, in the most extreme moments of like panic and danger, they're like, oh, I got to put the camera down, make sure it's framing me in the shot and whatever is going to happen in the in the rest of the frame. And then once that happens, I pick it up and run to the next place and put it on me. It's like it's
a different animal for sure. Next of Kin is
it's
only not Paranormal Activity in name.
Right. So I mean, it's like that's where found footage goes eventually, to where it's like, okay, it's using it as just like a photographic technique. It's not an element of the story anymore.
Right. So, I mean, so much of found footage is the element of, and I don't believe, I mean, Next of Kin is not true found footage either.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, you definitely, it's a decent enough standalone movie. It definitely entertained me, but so much of like quote unquote true found footage, the premise is what really sells it, right? It's like, oh, like like I'm concerned about a real person that exists in my world. Mm-hmm. Like this isn't Nightmare on Elm Street where it's possible for a dream demon to jump into your dreams at night. No, this is somebody like on the show Cops, who's real and who exists here in my town. Yeah, and
man, that's a lost opportunity. Why isn't Paranormal Activity done Paranormal Activity Cops?
Well, the marked ones is a little bit.
Is it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Not a lot. But you
like a specifically like this is just a ride along Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, no, that I think he does a ride along in the marked one. It's been a long time.
Because if it was just like the dash cam and the body cam of a cop, like I feel like you could do a lot with that.
Oh man, that'd be great. That would be great, dude. Patent pending, trademark, copyright.
It's the second great Paranormal Activity we've had on these reviews. The first one was, I think it was in 4 or 3 that we did. I re-listened to it, and we came up with the idea of like we should do a Paranormal Activity, but you can see the demon.
Yeah, the cat.
And it's just...
it's just a dude. No, that was a guy. That was 3.
Yeah, and it's just like Mark Duplass.
Yeah.
Like
just knocking shit off of counters.
It's like... or just like getting out his ghost ladder and like pushing the lamp.
Yeah.
Like, nah, swinging. What are you going to do about that?
Little...
Putting on some big boots and being like, stomp, stomp, stomp.
Yeah.
And then just like doing like a mockumentary where he's talking into the camera.
Right. Did you see their faces? That's so stupid.
A lot of people don't appreciate the work I do, but you know, I feel like when I come to a place that really engages me, like it inspires me to do more.
That's when I do my best work.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Paranormal Activity. Let's move on to Taglines. Did we have a Taglines intro?
Yes.
It's been so long.
It's the Shining intro.
Oh! Do you have it?
Maybe. Hang on. Yes.
Okay.
Here's Taglines.
Okay, so I got 3. Taglines is a bit where we come up with alternate taglines for the movie we're watching. And I'll go first.
Okay. Oh dear, oh no, oh no. My apologies.
Paranormal Activity. The demon is actually the ghost of Winnie the Pooh with a rumbly in his tumbly.
Oh, mine are bad compared to that. So that tells you where we got nowhere to go but down. Paranormal Captivity would be much more fun if it was just a demon cat.
A demon cat. Who's to say it's not the demon's cat doing most of the first stuff?
Those footprints were very strange.
Right. Paranormal Activity, but mostly normal activity.
What?
I mean, most of it, nothing's happening.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of nothing going on. It's just normal.
I like the idea. I really want to circle back to Paranormal Captivity.
Okay. Let's explore.
That demon has the zoomies at night. Every night, it's 3 a.m. It's 3 a.m. Comes up and blows on your leg. Pulls on, smacks you in the face and then runs away. Does your cat do that shit too?
Oh man, my cat, I don't know. My cat's like unreasonably affectionate at night. And the thing that she does is she's not declawed. And so she's got like the one long claw
you gotta
talon.
Clip those things.
And then she like reaches up when she wants attention and just like claws me right underneath my eye. It's like, I'm like, okay, leave me alone. 'Cause she'll like reach up and paw me if I'm not petting her and she wants me to pet her.
Oh,
yeah, it's very sweet.
Paranormal Activity. The demon is just after Katie's sweater puppies. That's what if I were a demon in that house, I'd be like, let's see those things.
Paranormal Activity. #believe women.
True.
So this would all be avoided if he just took Katie seriously.
Paranormal Activity. What happens when you sleep is a demon squats in your attic. Like I love the thought. The thought of, like, okay, so, like, when they're just hanging out in the pool, the demon's like, I guess I'll go back up to the crawl space. Just like what's he doing? Like he's somehow relegated to this physical realm, and he chooses to hang out in the hot ass crawl space of the attic.
Yeah, I think there'd be a lot more paranormal activity when like Katie's like taking a shower or something.
Yeah, there'd be ectoplasm everywhere. Yeah, I'm just like, so what is a day in the life of this demon? This one.
Right. You know,
like, what does he see? Is it like a different plane, an alternate dimension where he's like, where, like, you know, people are being stabbed in the ass in hell, and he's like able to kind of like transverse this plane as well? Like,
I mean, he might just be nocturnal. He might just sleep during the day up in the attic.
Demons need to sleep.
Cuddling the picture.
I want to know more, and this is what I really enjoy about these sorts of things. Is just filling in all the unanswerable questions with, like, yeah, you know, he's probably, like, you know, jerking off to Katie a lot. He's got that picture up there in the attic. Mm-hmm. He's a pedo.
This insulation is really clumpy.
Yeah. This stuff is so itchy.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. You know, little trick, if you get insulation on you, like if you have to have a roll around in the attic, the best way to get it off of you, a lot of people get in the shower, they turn it on hot. That's the worst thing you can possibly do. Things are going to get worse.
Because it'll open up your pores.
Your pores open up, and they suck all those little pieces of insulation. They suck all that fibers, all those teeny little fibers down into your pores. You got to take a cold shower. All your pores close up, and the stuff will just, you'll feel it wash off your skin. Used to have to roll around in that shit a lot for my job. Anyway.
Yeah, I would assume you just like use duct tape and tape it off.
Much easier to take a shower than just tape your whole body with duct tape.
True.
Or you just wear long sleeve shirts and a hat.
Yeah.
And then you only have to do your face.
Yeah, I don't usually go and do insulation topless in shorts.
I didn't do insulation. I just had to like do wiring and stuff in insulation. Anyway.
So thank you so much for tuning in to Horror Movie Talk Podcast. Join us next Wednesday. Again, thank you so much for listening. If you like the show, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Share the podcast with a friend. That's how we grow organically. And if you're going to do any shopping on Amazon this holiday shopping season, go to horrormovietalk.com and click through the button to Amazon just so we get a little taste of whatever you spend. We'll see you next time. If you want to leave us a voicemail again, that number is 682-253-4468. Bye-bye.
Help pulls, Ouija board, Wega board. Help pulls, pulls help, Quidja board, Wega board. Pulls help, help pulls. Quidja board, Wega borad, help pulls. How to use wedgie board, and is it real?
Looking for a podcast full of burps and gas, perverted cast, skinny and fat? Look no further. Horror Movie Talk is accidentally funny, begs to donate money, fake sponsors for dummies, and so much more. New episodes every hump day. They'll pickle your dickle for foreplay. Patreon members have it your way. Vote for a movie every month for the review. Choppa choppa, don't just stare at it, eat it like a taco. Put your tongue through the phone hoodie, Picasso. Look at them hot kids, swear not a pedo. Got me too. Pudding Pops done gave Bryce flatulence. Drain addict Dave doesn't give a shit. 1 through 10, is it horrible or excellent? Oil me up, daddy, is dinner rum. Kiss, Bryce Hansen. Look at them hot kids, Chris Henson. Masturbate with a crucifix, exorcist. Face huggers, chest bursters, alien. Linda Blair peed on Sigourney Weaver. I know it's true cause it came from social media. Patrick Bateman can't understand you. Stab you to death for rotten apple reviews. Opinionated podcaster with a doctorate. Spookology, doctor of philosophy. Bad gastritis, need colostomy. Turn Patreons into human centipedes. David Doobie Day, scare no expert. And Goble fucks hard, professional sexpert. Afterpods, taglines, and porno flicks. American Psycho, them guys pretty sick. Chopper, don't just stare at it, eat it like a taco. Put your tongue through the phone, hoodie, Picasso. Look at them hot kids, swear not a pedo. Got me too'd with Cosby eating jello. Pudding pops done gave Bryce flatulence. Train addict Dave doesn't give a shit. 1 through 10, is it horrible or excellent? Oil me up, daddy, is dinner rubs. Nothing good happens in the woods. Always get more than you bargained for. Got a pickle to dickle, machines tickle biddies. Killer on the phone, ain't no Sharon Stone. Vancouver, Portland, Oregon, and organs. Corona, COVID, curse, Lorona. Green River Killer, because reasons. Hallway of poop monster kids screaming. Ain't your ordinary dingleberry itinerary. 30 days shutter and jump scares, they fucking scary. Time for the spoilers with jokes and tropes. Use their white socks to catch their loads. To show them one titty, pretty. Paganism you should worship, they Teflon dicks. Pacific Northwest, let them see one breast. Shifty eyes stay spooky, poor man's digress. Bugsy, HMT, horror movie talk.